person I decided to nominate into the American Hall of Fame is Thurgood Marshall. Thurgood Marshall was born on July 2nd, 1908 and ended up dying on January 24th, 1993. Some background information on him. He was born on July 2nd in Baltimore. He went to Baltimore's all-colored high school. It was also a training school. He ended up graduating that high school in 1926. Basically, the whole reason that Thurgood decided to go into law enforcement was because when he was younger, his dad and his brothers would have discussions about everything. They would even get into arguments over the weather. And his dad had taught him how to make an argument and then state valid points, which really got him into debating. When he got to high school, he was on the debate team and he became the star of this team. His mom really wanted him to major in dentistry, but when he ended up going to college, he switched to pre-law. He attended Lincoln College. It was an all-black college. Once he graduated Lincoln in 1930, he applied to the University of Maryland Law, but he ended up getting rejected because of his race. He then went to Howard Law because it was an all-black school. After graduating Howard, Marshall decided that he wanted to try and start his own law practice. In 1934, he began working for the NAACP. He didn't get very many cases, but when he did, they were very low-paying, and they almost always dealt with civil rights. He didn't ask for much money because he felt like it was unfair to charge someone money that they didn't have. In 1936, he moved to New York City to work as a full-time legal counsel for the NAACP. This job was unpaid, but he didn't mind because he thought that it was a great honor to get to work in their headquarters in the first place. Also in 1936, Charlie Houston asked Marshall to be his assistant. For 2 years, they traveled the South taking on cases for black students and teachers. When he went back to New York, he was asked by the UK and the United Nations to help draft constitutions for the emerging African nations of Ghana and Tanzania. Some of his greatest achievements: he fought and won 29 of his 32 cases that he had while working with the NAACP. He won 14 of the 19 cases that he represented to the Supreme Court. In 1954, JFK put him on the Court of Appeals Second Circuit. In 1965, LBJ appointed him to the office of U.S. Solicitor General. In 1967, he got nominated and accepted into the U.S. Supreme Court. Some of his most famous cases that he ended up doing were Brown v. Board of Education, Murray v. Pearson, Chambers v. Florida, and Smith v. Allred. I think that the most famous case that he ever had to deal with was Brown v. Board of Education. Basically, in the end of Brown v. Board of Education, when that case ended, so did segregation of schools. He fought his way all the way up to the Supreme Court, and they ruled that the separate but equal law was very unfair. So they decided to end segregation of schools altogether. But his very first case that he ended up doing was Murray v. Pearson. He had a lack of experience, so he had to end up tag teaming it with Houston, and they won it in the end. So his very first case was successful. Okay, some of the reasons that I believe Thurgood Marshall should be in the Hall of Fame is because he wanted what was best for everyone. He didn't care if he barely got any money for helping people and being their lawyer and defending them. He wanted to do it anyway because he thought that everyone deserved a chance to defend themselves and everyone deserved to be treated as equals. He also fought for what he thought was right. He kept pushing and pushing and pushing the civil rights movement because he believed that everyone should be treated treated equal. It doesn't matter what your skin color is, what you look like, how much money you make, anything. Everyone is built generally the same, so everyone should be treated like it. And he never gave up, like, on his dream of becoming a lawyer. Even though he did get rejected from the law school that he really wanted to go to, he kept fighting for it. That probably made him want to fight for it even more, because he knew that injustice was being done and he wanted to make it right. Lastly, I believe that he should be in the Hall of Fame because he was the first African American to make it into the Supreme Court. That is one of the biggest honors ever. Making it into the Supreme Court means that you really have a talent for getting justice out to people, for making it right. He also put so much passion into his work. Every time he did a new case or met a new client, he made it seem like it was his first time doing it. He tried so hard to get them what they wanted, and he usually ended up getting it for them. So, in conclusion, the person that I believe should be in the Hall of Fame is Thurgood Marshall.